Pacific is colder than normal, and it turns out one of the broader impacts of a La Nina event is that there is less vertical wind shear, less change in winds with altitude in the atmosphere over the Caribbean, over the tropical Atlantic. And when there's less of that sort of tendency for winds of opposing direction or varying speed, then tropical storms and hurricanes have a more favorable environment because they can more easily maintain that nice vertical pattern that they require to form and then to strengthen. So it's both of those factors going into a La Nina event, and we have a very warm tropical Atlantic. And if you'll forgive the expression, that's sort of a perfect storm of factors for an active season. Now, there's the possibility that you're underestimating the interaction. When you have a La Nina and a very warm tropical Atlantic at the same time, that may act in a way that isn't really captured with these simple statistical models.
The two components sort of help each other out a bit.
Yeah, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, if you will. We think that that might actually be the reason that we, and essentially every other group that does this, is underestimating these extremely active seasons, just how active they end up being. There's no question. We saw a number of remarkably strong, very quickly, rapidly intensifying storms, and that's a theme here as well. These storms increasingly tend to increase in their intensity from just a tropical storm to a major hurricane over very short periods of time now, and we think that that's related, once again, to the unusual warmth of the oceans.
Do you know why the Atlantic, or the right part at least of the Atlantic, is so warm? And is it just global warming, or are there other factors playing in?
Invariably, there are other factors. There are natural changes in weather patterns from year to year that impact seasonal temperatures in the Caribbean and the tropical Atlantic, but that's sitting on top of this rising tide. The tropical Atlantic is warming over time. It's warmed about a degree Celsius over the past century, and that means when you do get a fluctuation, a natural fluctuation that makes things warmer than normal, you're likely to set a new record because that natural warm fluctuation is sitting on top of this ever-rising ramp of warming.
I mean, this is all in the context that also this week the World Meteorological Organization has sort of said things that probably you said as well, that this year could end up being the warmest on record as well, warmer than 2016 was.
Yeah, and again, that comes back to this interesting issue we're talking about with El Nino and La Nina. La Nina years, like we're in, tend to actually be colder than average for the planet because the tropical Pacific cools down, and that's a big piece of real estate. So when the tropical Pacific cools down, that actually cools down the average temperature of the planet by as much as 0.1 to 0.2 degrees Celsius. So what's so remarkable is that during a La Nina year, years that are supposed to be colder than normal, we may very well see a new record. And that speaks to just how profound the warming trend is, that we're going to set a new record even in the face of a natural event that should have cooled temperatures a bit.
What I've been seeing is that there are still record high temperatures in the Arctic. This is after a year of almost record warm temperatures in the Arctic, and also there seems to be a heat wave going on at the opposite end of the planet in Australia. We're about to talk to someone about that, but these are presumably the factors that will play into it.
Absolutely. It's warm in Australia. We've seen very warm conditions here in North America as well. And again, at any one time, at any one place, you know, there is natural variability. There is weather. But when you look at the larger pattern, it is really striking how widespread the warmth that we're seeing really is.
Michael Mann, well, we began the year talking about the extraordinary heat wave and wildfires in Australia's last summer. And also back on the programme, Sarah Perkins-Kirkpatrick of the University of New South Wales, because there have been new records there in your part of Australia as well.
Yeah, that's right. We actually had quite a warm heat wave occur over the eastern part of Australia over the weekend.
Quite a warm heat wave. That's very...
Yeah. To be more specific, in Sydney, temperatures hit well over 40 degrees. So I think on the Saturday they were like above 43.